The Organized Mind, Thinking Straight in the Age of Information Overload by Daniel J. Levitin is a comprehensive, science-driven exploration of how the human brain deals with the modern deluge of information, and how we can train our minds and environments to function better amidst constant distractions. Levitin, a neuroscientist and musician, combines cognitive science with practical advice, offering readers both theory and application. The book is structured around one core idea: our brains were not designed for the sheer volume and complexity of information we now face, but by understanding how the mind organizes data, we can reclaim clarity and control. Levitin opens by describing the challenges of modern life: email, texts, social media, multitasking, endless choices, and explains that these aren't just nuisances but cognitive burdens. Every incoming piece of information demands our attention and decision-making power, and this taxes a limited set of mental resources. The brain has two primary attentional systems: the task-positive network, focused attention, and the default mode network, daydreaming and mind-wandering. The constant pinging of phones and shifting of tasks throws these systems into disarray, leaving us mentally fragmented and exhausted. One of the book's central insights is that decision-making consumes energy. The more choices we make throughout the day, the more fatigued our brains become, a phenomenon known as decision fatigue. This explains why executives wear the same clothes daily or why routines help reduce stress. Levitin argues that by externalizing some of our mental functions, using lists, systems, calendars, and carefully designed environments, we reduce the cognitive load and free up mental space for meaningful work and creativity. Levitin takes a deep dive into the neuroscience of memory and categorization. The brain organizes information into hierarchical categories, using similarities and patterns to sort and retrieve knowledge efficiently. This innate system can be harnessed when organizing one's home, workspace, digital files, or schedule. For example, keeping like with like, grouping all travel-related items together in one drawer or digital folder, reduces the effort needed to find things. Our brains are associative machines, so structured environments that mirror this internal logic can make daily functioning smoother and less stressful. The book emphasizes that multitasking is a myth. What feels like multitasking is actually rapid task switching, and each switch comes at a cognitive cost. Studies cited by Levitin show that those who frequently multitask are actually less efficient and more prone to making errors. The solution is not just to focus but to structure one's time and space in a way that supports deep work. He promotes single-tasking, blocks of time, protected from interruption, as the gold standard for productivity and cognitive health. One compelling chapter focuses on the science of attention and its evolutionary background. Our brains evolved to notice movement, sudden changes, and potential threats, a survival mechanism that now leaves us vulnerable to digital distractions. Notifications, headlines, and pop-ups hijack this circuitry, creating a loop of compulsive checking and fragmented thought. Levitin urges us to be conscious curators of our own attention, shaping our inputs carefully and building buffers between ourselves and the constant stream of interruptions. Levitin also discusses the importance of sleep in organizing the mind. He explores how the brain uses downtime to consolidate memories, solve problems subconsciously, and reset emotional balances. Sleep isn't downtime for the brain, it's when the neural cleanup crew removes toxins and optimizes functioning. The modern tendency to cut sleep short in favor of productivity, he argues, is not only unhealthy but deeply counterproductive, as it diminishes our ability to think clearly and remember accurately. In chapters on home organization, Levitin offers grounded, practical suggestions: store items in predictable, accessible places, label drawers or containers if needed, maintain a place for everything and put things back. These seemingly simple habits are powerful cognitive tools because they reduce the number of microdecisions your brain has to make. He also recommends limiting the number of open loops, unfinished tasks or unresolved items, that clutter the mind, as these create constant background noise in our attention systems. When addressing work environments, Levitin stresses that productivity isn't about doing more, it's about doing what matters most. He explores prioritization systems like the Eisenhower matrix and time-blocking methods to help readers make the most of their finite attention. He also encourages scheduling downtime and breaks, which enhance focus, creativity, and long-term output. Importantly, he notes that the most successful people don't necessarily have more mental stamina, they've just mastered external systems that protect their brainpower. In dealing with digital information, Levitin confronts the dilemma of overwhelming data. He introduces the concept of information triage, deciding what's important, what can wait, and what should be discarded entirely. Tools like filtering, batch processing, and email rules are presented as ways to manage the flood of content. Rather than being enslaved by our devices, we must design how we interact with them, setting boundaries and expectations to maintain control. The book doesn't shy away from the emotional and psychological dimensions of organization. Clutter, Levitin explains, isn't just a physical nuisance, it's an emotional trigger and a source of anxiety. A disorganized space can mirror and reinforce a disorganized mind. By creating order in our external world, we often find internal calm and resilience. He also addresses the emotional toll of information overload, anxiety, guilt, fatigue, and frames organization as an act of self-care rather than just efficiency. In later chapters, Levitin extends his analysis to the world of business, medicine, and government. He shows how the same cognitive principles apply at a systemic level. Medical errors, for example, often result from poorly organized information and communication failures, not lack of intelligence. In business, decision fatigue and poor information flow lead to costly mistakes. The same organizational strategies that help individuals think clearly. Categorization, prioritization, attention management, can enhance the functioning of teams and institutions. A significant strength of the organized mind is its blend of science and humanity. Levitin doesn't push productivity for its own sake. He reminds readers that the goal of organization is not to become robotic, but to create space for joy, presence, and meaningful thought. When we are less overwhelmed, we can listen more attentively, engage more deeply, and savor life more fully. Organization becomes a way to honor what matters most to us, not just a way to cram more into the day. Levitin's storytelling, often drawing from real-life examples of artists, CEOs, scientists, and even historical figures, brings warmth and relatability to the book. He shows that even the most brilliant minds have relied on structure and habit to thrive. From Einstein's wardrobe simplicity to Churchill's rigid daily routines, organization isn't a sign of rigidity, it's a framework for creative freedom. Ultimately, the organized mind is a call to reclaim agency in a world that constantly pulls us away from our intentions. Levitin offers more than time management tips, he provides a philosophy of mental clarity. By understanding how our brains handle information and choosing to structure our lives accordingly, we don't just survive the modern era, we learn to thrive in it, with purpose, attention, and peace of mind.